few hours ago, today, Thursday, February 19th, 2026, President Trump was asked an interesting question by Fox reporter Peter Doocy.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to.
Well,
So if
maybe
you
I'll
want
get
to
him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens.
Well, I had an interesting conversation with Peter Doocy a few months back on this same question. And let me say a few words about what we just heard from President Trump. Indeed, much of the data about the unusual objects in the sky is classified, and for a good reason. First, this data was collected by classified sensors that are state-of-the-art. We don't want adversarial nations to be aware of the quality of data that we get. For example, US government satellites that are taking high-resolution images of Earth, those might show unusual objects, but they cannot be declassified for obvious reasons. In addition, those intelligence officers that are studying images or materials or other types of data and cannot figure out the origin of what they're seeing would prefer to keep it under wraps, simply because if these entities were manufactured by adversarial nations, any release of information will expose the vulnerability of the US to national security threats. And so in that sense, it's obvious that we don't want to inform our adversaries about weaknesses in our defense system, an alert system. In addition, those administrators who manage the data in the intelligence agencies, in the Pentagon, they would rather not admit that they're not doing their job. If there are objects in the sky they cannot identify, they would prefer to keep it classified so that nobody would look over their shoulders and say, well, we're giving you large sums of money, but you're not really delivering the kind of security that we expect you to deliver. So a very convenient approach would be to classify it such that the number of people who see the data is rather limited, and even Congress cannot scrutinize the inability of those people to figure out what the data means. So for all these reasons, it makes a lot of sense to keep such data classified and not reveal its details to the public. But of course, the President of the United States is aware of many of these incidents where the intelligence people as well as military personnel see unusual things around them, but cannot figure out their origin. And one, of course, possibility is that these are technological objects manufactured by humans somewhere else. And that, of course, is a serious matter for national security. But because the data is classified, not many people know about it. And the president is fully aware of that. So when President Obama talks about objects that are unidentified, based on what we heard from President Trump, that's classified information indeed. But it still allows for the possibility that we're dealing with extraterrestrial technologies that are not part of the infrastructure here on Earth, but arrived as visitors, gadgets that are visiting the Earth. And to figure out whether it's one origin or another, we really need better data, and that is not available for most of these unusual events. And the simplest assumption would be to say, well, we can't really figure it out, so let's put it aside and move on and focus on other matters. And if we see it again, then we'll try to get better data on it. And that is the approach I'm taking by leading the Galileo project. Anything manufactured by humans is boring as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, the technologies change over time, and I'm not interested in the history of technology that was developed by humans here on Earth. I'm much more curious to know if there is a more accomplished civilization out there in interstellar space. And to figure this out, I would be curious to see if there are objects that are performing outside the envelope of our own technologies. And so I'm leading the Galileo project that built 3 observatories, one in Massachusetts, another one in Pennsylvania, and a third one in Nevada. And we are collecting data on millions of objects, trying to figure out if any of them might be an outlier that cannot represent human-made technologies. And of course, in doing so, I'm happy to deliver any data that we collect on human-made technologies that could be of use by the Pentagon. In fact, if we don't find anything extraterrestrial, I wouldn't feel that my time was wasted, because the sensors that we put together and the artificial intelligence algorithms that we use to look for, to search for outliers, can be used by the Pentagons for national security applications. And I would feel good as an American citizen if they take advantage of that. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy to share any such data and partner with the intelligence and military agencies so that they can benefit from the research that we are doing, because their interest is focused on human-made technologies. My interest and the Galileo project's interest is focused on extraterrestrial technologies. And so the two do not overlap. What they care about, I don't care about. What I care about, they should not care about. And so whatever we see could either benefit their goals in terms of securing the defense of the nation, or promote one of the most exciting frontiers in science, which is to find out whether we are alone. The one thing that can be done already now in terms of disclosing information, declassifying information, is about events that took place 50 years ago, because any technology that was used back then is not relevant today. Our technologies evolved so much that we can actually reveal anything we found 50 years ago. And so it makes sense to go back in time and see if there are any undisclosed details that could benefit the scientific research that the Galileo project is pursuing under my leadership. And I'll be delighted to help government figure out the incidents or data about events that are not classified by now. And of course, I will be delighted to work with the White House, President Trump, on any future events or declassified information, in helping them figure out what it means. Obviously, it would be fantastic if President Trump could provide us with more details on anomalous objects and how they might relate to aliens. And I would be delighted to be involved in any further studies related to this topic. A couple of hours after I posted the latest video, President Trump released the following statement. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Following this statement, I was invited to attend 18 television interviews today, the latest of which was from Washington, D.C. Below are some of the talking points that I mentioned in these 18 interviews. First, I highlighted that only mediocre scientists can be dogmatic about UAP. Curious scientists are humbled by what we don't understand. We do not know what most of the matter in the universe is. We do not know what most of the energy in the universe is. We call them dark matter and dark energy. We do not know whether we are alone. Given the vast expanse of cosmic space and time, it was presumptuous of Enrico Fermi to ask, "Where is everybody?" while having lunch in Los Alamos in 1950. When anomalies are documented by trustworthy intelligence officers and military personnel, mainstream scientists like myself should be curious to figure out what these anomalies mean. So far, the public had not seen the most anomalous data. It is classified and potentially includes high-resolution images from US government satellites or materials from crash sites. Figuring out the nature of the evidence is extremely important for national security because such evidence may indicate actions by adversarial nations. Therefore, the effort invested in studying the evidence is never wasted because it will help protect our nation in the future. My sincere hope is that the Congressional UAP Task Force, led by Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna, will be able to review new evidence that was previously held in secrecy. If they need a detailed scientific analysis of that evidence, I'm here to serve. So far, we had seen images or videos that are not of high scientific quality, and it's difficult to assess distances and hence actual velocities and accelerations of the recorded objects, UAPs or UFOs. But there might be revealing clues in the data that scientists could use to figure things out. For example, it should be straightforward to assess if any materials recovered from crash sites originated beyond the solar system. Even a gram of material is sufficient for isotope analysis by mass spectrometers. This is because all the materials in the solar system originated from the same reservoir, whereas materials from another star were exposed to isotope enrichment by a different source near that star. Science can assist government and Congress in assessing whether any of the evidence collected by US government over the past century might be of interstellar origin. My interest focuses on non-human intelligence, on products of other civilizations beyond the solar system. The intelligence agencies and the Pentagon are focused on what is produced by humans, and therefore our interests are complementary. And if they notice something that does not belong to their expertise, I will be happy to help them with my expertise. As a practicing scientist, I hope to learn from the evidence in this new age of disclosure that was ushered in by new hearings in the US Congress. The US intelligence and military monitors the sky and oceans routinely, and it's quite possible that they were first to notice something anomalous that is rare. A couple of years ago, I had a visitor at my home who told me that he was a high-level executive in Lockheed Martin, and he believes that, in fact, the possibility that U.S. government recovered evidence for extraterrestrial technological products is not wrong. Of course, I had not seen the evidence, and I would love to be able to figure out what lies behind the statement that he made. The primary challenge is how to declassify information without risking national security. One way to do that is to use the filter of time, because information from 50 years ago is irrelevant in today's battlefield, because human-made technologies advanced a lot since that time. Also, if there is data on objects that clearly behave in ways that cannot be represented by the envelope of human-made technologies, then it's clear that they have nothing to do with terrestrial geopolitics, and they could be of extraterrestrial origin. That is a subject that should be explored by scientists, and has no bearing on national security because it doesn't represent a threat from another nation. It is arrogant to assume that we are at the top of the food chain in the Milky Way galaxy. If there is a smarter kid in our block, we better learn from it. When sitting at the dinner table with our family, we should not hide evidence for a tennis ball that was thrown by a neighbor and that we found in our backyard. This makes no sense because the same neighbor might show up at the front door. And all humans who are our family members, they deserve to know if we have a cosmic neighbor. In fact, when reading the daily news, many of us hope that a smarter kid lives in our block who could serve us as a better role model than our politicians. Are we alone is the most romantic question in science, and it would allow us to develop an emotional connection to the universe that until now was a cold and lonely place full of matter and radiation. When facing a piece of a spacecraft here on Earth from a crash site, the first thing I would like to do is actually study the composition of that piece and check whether indeed it's made of material that came from outside the solar system. And then the second thing I would like to do is study the structure of the material, try to figure out whether it represents technologies or some science that goes beyond what we possess. Because if there is a smarter kid on our cosmic block, this would be our opportunity to catch up and learn from it. Let us figure it out from the evidence. We are at the beginning of a very exciting time in which there is this race between artificial intelligence as an alien form of intelligence, because these computer systems are made of silicon chips, not flesh and blood. But at the same time, we might find extraterrestrial intelligence, alien intelligence that originated from another star. The question is, which one will appear first? And of course, without searching, we will not find it. And so I'm very excited to live at this time and be part of the search process.